Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, text number 10. Maya Dakshena Prakatihi Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagatvi Parivartate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So, here in this verse, Krishna is explaining, after having explained that how the creation and annihilation, the process of creation and annihilation, now Krishna is saying, all this thing is happening, material nature is working under my direction. And what has been produced here, moving in all unmoving beings, it is all happening under Krishna's supervision. Maya Dakshina Prakriti Suyate, something which is being manifested, Chara Acharam, moving or non moving. It is all happening under Maya Adakshina, under my Adhyakshata, under my supervision. This entire nature is working. So, this is another very, very important verse that we understand that how the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, although he is aloof from all the activities of the material world, but still he remains the Supreme Director. So sometimes the word God has been explained as God, the generator, operator, and destroyer. So in the Brahma Samhita that has been explained, Shasti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chaye Vayashya Vanani Vivarti Durga. So Brahmaji explains in the Brahma Samhita that all this Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, that creation, maintenance, and annihilation, it is all happening in this material world uh, under the supervision of Krishna and directly Durga, which is also the energy of Krishna, is doing all this. But uh, we understand that Durga is like a shadow. So Krishna is like the hand. Sometimes we see the shadow is moving, and somebody sees the shadow and he says how it is happening automatically. But then intelligent person understand the shadow is actually behind the shadow. There is a hand, and then we should look at that hand. So we see in this material world so many things are happening. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, moving, non-moving things. It is all happening under the supervision of Krishna. And when all this is happening, it might look like God is busy with so many things. So Prabhupada gives this example that sometimes God's image has been created, like the Atlas who's lifting the whole planet. So God's image is also being portrayed as, God is lifting the whole creation. He is busy, overwhelmed with taking care of this maintenance and then creation, maintenance, and destruction. But for God, it doesn't require him to get directly involved. Like we can think of this example of a rich man. So many things are happening in his factory, in his company, but he is not directly involved. But at the same time, nothing is beyond his supervision. Nothing happens beyond his sanction, right? So we understand that, like the owner of the company, he take the decision, he guides, his empowers his energies through his energies, like through his power, through his influence, he is pervaded all around. So in the same way, Krishna's energies are working, and under his energies, the entire creation is working. So that is what Krishna is saying here. Maya Dakshina Prakriti Suyate Characharam. So whole creation is working under his supervision through his Shaktis. Parashya Shaktir Bibideva Shruyate. So Krishna has innumerable energies, innumerable Shaktis, and under his supervision, under his power, the whole creation is active. Right. So nothing happens without Lord's supervision. Something which seems like happening automatically. Many times we don't see the God directly, and that is how all these materialistic people, atheistic people, those who doesn't know the science of God, they say no, everything is happening automatically. There are different theories about this creation. So one of the theory is it is by chance, but a sane man can understand that nothing happens by chance. This by chance theory is just the ignorance of the presence of the God. Like sometime when you enter into a mall, you see a glass door. As soon as you try to enter, you get close to the door, it automatically opens. So somebody might say, oh, by chance it opened. Or somebody might say, no, it happens automatically. There's no person. You can't see any person who is opening the door there. So it is happening automatically. Yes, but it doesn't mean that there's nobody behind that. So automatic doesn't mean the absence of God. Automatic means it's a absence of our awareness about the God. So automatic means that somebody is working. So yes, it seems like everything is happening automatically in this world. Right? We see every day sun rises in the east in the morning, sets in the west in the evening, and then different seasons, and so many things. It seems like automatically it is happening. But intelligent person should understand, and especially when we read Bhagavad Gita, then we understand very clearly, very scientifically, that nothing is automatically. It is all happening under the supervision of the Lord. Lord is there behind. His intelligence is there. So there's nothing called automatic, right? There is this. You see that in this creation, there's millions of planets and then millions of universes, like that. They work so precisely, right? The entire creation is so superly fine tuned, right? Everything is so precise. And how the solar system is working, sun and the moon and the different stars. So from micro to macro, everything is so precisely governed. So can we say that it is happening automatically? It is happening by chance? It will be foolish to say that. You see, even a small startup, if somebody has to do that, it won't happen automatically. So much energy, so much time, so much of intelligence is required to run a small startup, to run a simple program like that. How we can say that the entire universe is working automatically or by chance? This is just a foolish thing to say that. There is this famous story of Newton and his friend. So Newton uh, was a believer of God. He was a great scientist, very intelligent, but he always believed in God. And in fact, there's many scientists. They they claim that all this intelligence, all these ideas that comes, they can't explain that how suddenly some idea emerged in their brain, and that resulted in invention of some concepts. So they have no clue that how suddenly that idea came. So they recognize that there is some superpower that who helps or who blesses or who bestow that idea, and then the scientists take the credit. But a honest scientist, you always accept that there is some supreme power is there. So Newton was once a scientist who believed in God, but he was having one of his friend equally intelligent who did not believe in God. So Newton wanted to make a point. So one day, that one time that Newton, when he built a beautiful solar system, and automatically, you press a button and then it start rotating, and very beautifully created model. And then one time when this friend came and he was impressed by seeing that model, and he naturally inquired that who made this model. And Newton, just to make the point, he said that, you know what, last evening when I left, I just left some of those items, some balls and all of that. I left in my office, and morning I came. To my surprise, I found that this beautiful model was there automatically. And this friend couldn't believe. He just laughed and he said, hey, just stop joking and then tell me the truth, who made it? But Newton continued to say the same thing. No, it automatically it came. And then finally, uh, this friend very gravely said, stop joking, tell me that who made it. And then Newton made a point that, my dear friend, that you are not able to believe that such a small the solar model can come automatically. How you can say that such a big gigantic, the system, the universe, and this cosmic manifestation can come automatically. There is no brain behind it. So the God Everything is happening under his supervision. He is the super brain behind it. So all this theory that scientists put forth, like the Big Bang theory, and many, you know, intelligent brains or intellectual people, they believe in that theory. But a thoughtful man should think that everything came by the bang, Big Bang. That is the theory that the whole creation came. But we see in this material world, whenever there is a bang, it doesn't result in any creation, but it results in destruction. So that is uh, one point one should ask, that how and when in our experience the bang result in some nice, beautiful creation. Also, another question should be asked by thoughtful man, that who made that bang happen in the first place? If there was no creation, if there is no God, then how that bang happened in some whatever number of billion of years ago? Why it happened at that point only, not before, not after? So who decided that at this point this bang should happen, and who made that bang? So even the modern science doesn't have the answer to all those questions, but our scriptures, they explains. Unfortunately, this modern scientists and modern people and modern intellectuals, they're not able to comprehend, they are not able to accept that God is behind that, because they want everything like should fit in uh, within the limit of their tiny brain, within the limited ability of uh, you know the limited ability to comprehend what is happening in the nature. So what they miss out, all these modern brains, that this universe is so vast, so gigantic, that everything in the universe, what is happening, all the different phenomena, we cannot understand with our tiny little brain. We have limited ability to understand. So that is why uh, the absolute knowledge comes from the absolute source. And absolute source is Sri Krishna himself. His words, and his words are like Bhagavad Gita. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranidam. So all these scriptures, it is actually spoken by the Supreme Lord. So one should accept. If we don't have any explanation, then accept the explanation what is already given in the scriptures. So Bhagavad Gita is saying here, Maya Dakshana Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. So everything is working under my supervision. It may not be within the limit of my comprehension. So we should accept the scriptures. Prabhupada gives another example. Prabhupada gives simple example, but yet very profound. Prabhupada says, you look at a lemon tree, a simple small tree of lemon tree, which is produced out of just one small seed, and that lemon tree produces so many so many lemons, and one lemon so much of juice, and you squeeze out juice from all the lemons, so much of citric acid is produced by a simple one lemon tree. How it is happening? And then Prabhupada gives the example that we also produce the juice. Juice means basically we produce the sweat. When somebody work hard in the summers, or otherwise also you work hard, we start producing the sweat, which is like a salty water, right? A human body can produce little salty water. The same way, Krishna can produce unlimited sweat, and that sweat is the ocean. So, like that, we like tiny lemon can produce the juice, the tiny human being can produce some little salty water, but Krishna is unlimited. He can produce unlimitedly anything. So that is what is the God is unlimited. He produces unlimited, and that is what is the God's creation is. It is unlimited. Thus billions and millions of universes and planetary systems are working. How they are working so precisely? It is working under Krishna's supervision, Krishna's control. So Krishna creates and also Krishna controls. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya. So God, that is God. So God not only just create, and then, after creating, the things goes beyond his control. Nothing goes beyond Krishna's control. Everything is in Krishna's control. And that is also a very hope-giving concept. Many times, we get perturbed that when things happens in our life which is beyond our control, and some so-called bad thing happens in our life, and we wonder like what is happening, how it is happening, and what to do. I don't know, I cannot control, because our our controlling ability is also very, very limited. Everyone has a little the range of control in this material world. From a small ant to the human being, to the Brahmaji. Everybody is a controller in this material world, but we have our own limited controllership. So many times we see that things are happening beyond our control, and we wonder like what can be done. But then this concept gives a lot of hope. That yes, things can happen, beyond our control, but Krishna is the supreme controller. Nothing happens without his control, without his sanction. Right. So our control is based on our karma, and some abilities are given, some controlship is given. Like you see a common man, he has limited control probably over his family, and you see the prime minister, he can control over the nation, and then you see the Brahmaji, he can control probably the entire creation. But Krishna can control even Brahmaji. Krishna can control innumerable universes like that. So that is Krishna's control. Right. So that is how we understand here. So everybody is under Krishna's control, Krishna's supervision. Yes, tu Indra Gopa Madhvendra Mahosa Karma. So you see, from top to bottom, everywhere, we all are under the laws of karma. So this a tiny insect called Indra Gopa to Indra to Brahma, everybody is controlled by the karma. But this law of karma works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord Govinda Madhipurusham Tam Ham Bhajami. So everything in this creation is working under supreme control of Lord Sri Krishna. Even Brahmaji is under his control. So sometimes even, and it is very difficult to understand this control, how Krishna is controlling. So we should understand that we have the little tiny brain. Everything cannot fit under, the ability of this tiny brain. Forget about people like us, ordinary people with tiny brain. Even the Brahmaji gets bewildered sometime to understand that how everything is working under Krishna's control, under Krishna's supervision. There's a lot of pastimes. The famous pastime of Brahma Bimohan Leela. The Brahmaji got bewildered by seeing Krishna when he was, doing the childhood pastimes in Vrindavan. He thought that why everybody is enchanted by this small child, Krishna. So let me go. And Brahmaji came and he stole all the cows and the calves and the Krishna's friends. He thought that he will trick Krishna. But we know the story that how even the Brahmaji got tricked by Krishna. So when Brahma gets bewildered that how Krishna is controlling, Krishna is supervising all of these things. So we cannot probably understand logically at times certain things, certain concepts, but we should have faith and we should understand. And that is what Krishna says, that to understand even na me vidu surganaha, even the great demigods cannot understand Krishna. But then how we can understand Krishna? So the scripture says, Sevon Mukhe Jivadu Sammeva Spurtiyada. When we start engaging ourselves in a loving devotional service to Krishna, then gradually we start to understand Krishna. So that is the way. So we should not artificially try to understand Krishna, and we should not be too confident about our own abilities, our intellectual ability, our logic, and all of that. It may not help us to understand Krishna. When we take the knowledge from the scriptures, Krishna says, Amaya Dakshinam Prakriti, Suyate sa Characharam. So everything is working under his supervision. So Brahmaji even got bewildered. One time, when Krishna was in Dwarika, so Brahmaji thought, okay, let me go and see uh, how Krishna is doing. And he came to Dwarika. So when he tried to enter Krishna's palace, and then he was stopped by the doorkeepers of Krishna. He says, okay, you wait, we'll go and ask, take the permission from the Lord. So then Brahmaji came there. These doorkeepers came. They asked that Brahmaji is there, you want to see. So Krishna asked, okay, go and ask which Brahma. So the doorkeeper asked, and they said, which Brahma are you? So Brahma was taken aback. What do you mean, which Brahma? I am the only Brahma in the entire universe. So after the due permission, and then Brahma was allowed, and Brahma goes there, offer his obeisances, and then Lord asked that, my dear Brahma, tell me that what can I do for you? Says, my dear Lord, I'll tell you that why I'm here. But before that, I have a question. Your doorkeeper asked me that which Brahma are you? So I'm just a little, confused as if there are more Brahmas. I'm the only Brahma, Chaturmukhi Brahma here, in this universe. And then Lord could understand that Brahma is in ignorance about the reality. Even the Brahma, who is forehead, who has is the creator, super intelligent personality with the four heads, he is not, uh, what do you say, familiar with how Krishna acts. So then Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson that by his mystic power, Krishna invited all the Brahmas. And in no time, this Brahma, Chaturmukhi Brahma, he could see so many Brahmas started appearing there, and then different Brahmas. And not only just everybody was Chaturmukhi Brahma with the four heads. Some are with the 10 heads, 100 heads, 1,000 heads, and there were some Brahma with the millions of heads. Based on the size of their universe, they're having the different heads. And this Brahma, Chaturmukhi Brahma, the Brahma of our universe, he was bewildered by seeing that scene. And then not only he saw that all the Brahmas and one after another, all these Brahmas, they're coming and they started bowing down, falling flat at Krishna's feet, offering their obeisances and their helmets, their metal helmets. They're touching the grounds, hitting the grounds, and producing the sound. And there was tumultuous sound there, all the Brahmas, one after another, 10-headed Brahma, 100-headed Brahma, million-headed Brahma, and their helmet, they're hitting the ground and it's creating the sound. And then this Brahma understood, and in utter humility, he also fall at the feet of Krishna, and he understand that I was thinking that I am the only Brahma, but now I understand I am such a tiny Brahma. So to understand Krishna's creation, Krishna's supervision, Krishna's direction, it is not possible with our limited tiny intelligence. It is possible only by the seva. So that is why we see this Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by the devotees, as Krishna, says in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita itself, in the fourth chapter, Bhaktosi me sakachiti rashyam hi taduttamam. So this confidential knowledge, Krishna's creation, Krishna's maintenance, Krishna's supervision, it can be only understood by someone who's intimately connected with Krishna in loving devotional service. Bhaktosi me sakacheti. One should be Krishna's devotee. Then only one can understand Bhagavad Gita. So it is not possible for all these atheistic people to understand Bhagavad Gita. They read Bhagavad Gita and they give their own atheistic interpretations. By reading Bhagavad Gita, they try to prove that there's no God. Now, I was forwarded, I got a clip from some famous personality. I'll not mention the name, but this person was giving a lecture and to his audience, and he was saying in that uh, discourse that have anyone seen God? Who is this God? Has the God created this world or we created God? And then through his whatever intellectual explanation, he was trying to prove that there's no one called God. Actually, we human being, we have created God. There's no one as such who is called God. And his logic was, if there is a God, and if God created this world, if God created all of us, then why we are all miserable? Is that what is the God's creation is? There is suffering, there are miseries, there's problems in this world. So if you say that God is supreme controller, He is supremely kind person and supremely powerful person, then why the things are happening beyond His power, beyond His control? There should not be any suffering. So then, if God is the creator, then why God's creation is so miserable? So by using this logic, he was saying that there is no God actually. We created God, the human being, out of fear. When sometime we don't have the answer to certain things, then we say that okay, it is all created by God, it is happening by God's supervision. So these kind of foolish ideas, the foolish explanations given by all these so-called atheistic intellectuals, foolish people, and they're so-called spiritualists, they give this kind of explanations. So it is, sometimes very difficult for these foolish people, though they are very intellectual, but they are not devotees and it is very difficult to understand these concepts. And then this kind of explanation can be explained by Bhagavad Gita, then why they're suffering. So we understand that God's creation is undoubtedly it is beautiful, and God, the suffering is not happening because of God. It's not that God is giving the suffering. Suffering is happening because in the tiny living entity we are given the independent, and when we misuse our tiny independence and we go against the law of God, कृष्ण भूलिया जीव भोग वांछा करे निकटस्थ माया तारे झपटिया धरे. So when we try to forget God and then we try to enjoy independent from God, and we created the suffering, we create the suffering for ourselves by not accepting God's rule, God's guidance. If we it's like, just think of it, a small child, you know, uh, he try to act independently because he is ignorant, he doesn't know what he should be doing. So child in his uh, enthusiasm, and he might get fascinated with fire, he might go and touch the fire, and in ignorance he'll burn himself and he will suffer. So one cannot say that, what kind of father he is, that his son is suffering. No, it's not, the suffering is not created by the father, but the suffering is being created because the child is not agreeing, is not accepting father's control, father's rule, father's guidance, father's care. Say, no, I don't care. I'll do myself, whatever I want to do. So in the same way, when the tiny living entity, when we misuse, misexercise, our independence, and we try to do the things independently, that result in suffering. So it's not that God who has created this suffering world. It is we tiny beings, right? Now somebody can say, then why God has given the independence? That we have to suffer. If God is the supreme controller, he can control our independence also. Yes, he can, but he doesn't, because the independence is given to express our relation, express our love, express our feelings. So God is not like a boss that he'll create, he will try to control all of us, and we'll all be acting like a robot. No, God gives us this uh, free will, the independence, so that we can express and we can accept God as our supreme lovable, supreme loving object, and then we can serve Him in this loving devotional service. So, like that, we understand. So, here Krishna is saying that entire creation is working under my supervision, and all this manifestation we see, uh, chara charam, everything is happening under my supervision. So, like that, when we read Bhagavad Gita uh, with a devotional mood, then gradually we understand all these concepts and we understand how this creation is working. So, these are some of the thoughts on this verse. Let me pause here and see. Anybody's any question, comment, you can ask. Unmute yourself. And there's no question, we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.